I don't know who needs to hear this, but your spiritual practices, as my left ear is ringing, your spiritual practices are yours. They're sacred and they're private and they're yours. It doesn't matter if you are a part of a religious group or affiliation or part of a church, or if you followed a structured cultural belief system. It doesn't really matter what you believe or who you believe in or whom you believe in. It's so individual to you that regardless of the rules and the structure, you will form personal, sacred, and deep relationships, communications, experiences with who and what you work with, regardless of who you are and what side of the fence you sit. The people and the things that you work with, your practices, are sacred to you, and they're not for anybody else, they're for you. So if you choose to share who you work with, make sure you check yourself and make sure you're doing it out of humility for sharing your experience, and you're not doing it to boast, because that deity to you is like the God of all gods, and that somehow adds to your ego. Make sure when you share, you're sharing from your sacredness, you're sharing from your honoring, you're sharing from your sense of love, gratitude, admiration for the journey as a whole and for the relationship you forged. That being said, stop comparing your relationship with a certain deity, God, thing, entity, whatever, spirit, being, concept. Stop relating it to others. Stop comparing. 2:02 on the clock. Stop comparing. That's the mirror image 2:02. That's so magical. That's a palindrome. But stop comparing. Because those things are forged differently. Not everybody needs the same relationship from the same energy. So please know that just because your experience differs from somebody else's does not invalidate your experience. And it does not make yours any more or less right or wrong. Step aside from your ego for a second and realize that when you interact with these things, when you pray, when you meditate, when you come into communication with, when you give thanks to, when you honor things outside of you, you are also honoring yourself, and you are noting that they have a specific purpose in your journey. They house a segment, a space for which you to connect with, and it's something you need in the moment. Not everybody needs an ass kicking. Some people need a hug. Not everyone needs tough love. Some people need nurture and care. Just because somebody shows up one way for somebody does not mean that that same energy is going to show up the same way to you. And just because certain things are similar and they confirm a lot for you and it makes you feel validated, that is magical and beautiful within its own right. But that does not mean that that one's right and all the other rest are wrong. Who you work with is personal and private, and it's okay to keep certain parts of your practice and the depth, I'm going to go here, the depth at which you practice to yourself. It's okay. Sometimes these things are just meant to be shared with you, your soul, your team, your energy, and that message may not be for everybody else. But if you are called to share something with somebody else from a place of wholeness, please do it. Because something you have to say is going to matter to who you're sharing it with. But check yourself, because there are so many more gods out here. There are so many more deities. There's so many more energies, saints, angels. There's so many more things to connect with than the big three, than the modern, socially accepted three. And they're waiting and wanting to work with you. And that includes your ancestors. That includes your past loved ones. That includes your lineage. Don't forget that they reside wholly in your team. They are your court. They are part of your lineage. And most of them will have your back. And I say most because they lived a human life and they have opinions as well. But if you feel alone, because this is a huge thing that a lot of people kind of deal with, I feel like, at least that come to us, is that loneliness feeling, or feeling like you don't fit, that outcast. Please know that you have a whole group of people who have your ass. You just may not be able to see them because they don't reside in the physical. You have a whole group of people that have your back, that would protect your shit, protect your home, wrap you in light. There's a whole group of people that would take on everything you can't see for you. Forge a practice that best serves you, not that best serves your ego, that best serves your soul. And it's okay if your individual, unique, sacred practice does not mirror somebody else's. Keep that in mind. That's important. You're not supposed to be like everybody else. And you don't need what everybody else needs. Free yourself from the confines of that spiritual trap of what it has to look like, that expectation. You're not like everybody else. That's the cool part. Bye, B.